Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christina Beige. I am the chair of our UN PRME Working Group on Business for Peace, and I'm also an associate researcher at the Brussels School of Governance and the Free University here in Brussels. I'm going to go ahead and hand over the call to Yi Huang from PRIME, who will tell us a little bit about how we're situated within PRIME, and then I will go ahead and give a brief overview of our working group before turning it over to our guest speakers for this afternoon. So Yi.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Christina. Hi everyone, I'm Yi from PRIME, the Principles for Responsible Management. Greetings to all participants. It's a great pleasure to have you all here with us. I think it will be a very exciting topic for us to talk about today. I will share with you a little bit more about PRIME. So this initiative was established in 2007 by an international task force of deans, university presidents, and different academic institutions. We are United Nations sponsored initiative and a sister initiative of UN Global Compact, which is the largest corporate sustainability initiative in the world. So brief picture about PRIME. We are proud to say that we have more than 880 signatories. We operate in 99 countries. We have 17 active regional chapters, and last but not least, we have 9 working groups. PRIME working groups really enable us to achieve our mission and vision. They are usually networks that transform responsible management education by focusing on different issue areas in SDGs. So you will see different working groups, different PRIME working groups here on the screen. These working groups operate through different initiatives, activities, webinars like we are having today to bring educators, scholars, and practitioners around the table in order to discuss different sustainable management education related issues. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you are interested in joining PRIME working groups or interested in collaborating with us. So that's basically a brief introduction about PRIME. I will hand over back to Christina. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Yi. If I could go ahead and just briefly share my screen. We have 2 websites. Our working group has 2 websites where you can find out more information about the aims of our working group, our activities. You can also find on our other external website, we have an online repository of publications that are related to the Business for Peace space. And essentially, our working group was founded in 2014 by 2 academics, John Katzos, who you can see here in a podcast from American University of Sharjah, and Bob McNulty, who was initially from Bentley College. And the kind of purpose of our working group is to try and understand how business or the private sector enhances the conditions that determine whether or not instability evolve into a durable peace, so a multidimensional understanding of peace, or on the flip side, contribute to increase in tensions that may spark, for instance, violence and even armed conflict. And we, as you mentioned, similar to other working groups, we tend to focus mainly on our outreach to academics, but we do appreciate the need to have a multidimensional perspective on the topics. So we welcome practitioners, policymakers, civil society representatives, and so forth to contribute to our activities and contribute and join the webinars, such as the one that we've organized today. So I think I can go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn it over to the topic of our webinar today. We're very happy to have 3 guest speakers, 2 who will be the primary guest speakers that will focus on Africa GreenTec, which is a social impact investing startup. They will share their reflections on Africa GreenTec's contributions to inclusive peace and sustainable development. We have Dr. Bruce Kibler from Gannon University, We have Natalee Stinebiser and we have Lucia Kamati who will be sharing their reflections with us today. So if I could go ahead and turn over to Bruce to take it from here. Welcome everyone for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Christina. I really, first of all, I want to thank you for having us on today. It's quite a pleasure and an honor to be able to present with you guys today. I mean, I'm very committed to the entire aspect of business for peace, as well as sustainability. So I guess let me take just a quick moment and say a little bit maybe about myself and my colleagues. I'm a professor here at Ghent University in Erie, Pennsylvania. In management, international management. I've done a lot of community work and international. I was in international business, IT and telecommunications for about 20 years, mostly in Europe. And that's how I actually know the people who founded Africa GreenTec and why I'm involved. You know, Natalee is a student of mine here who actually is involved in a dual degree program where she's getting a degree from a German university as well as our university. And she spent a year last year in Germany studying and doing an internship, and she did her internship with Africa GreenTec. We are, all three of us actually are also right now kind of in the throes of trying to establish Africa GreenTec here in the US. And Lucia is the only, she's the only committed Africa GreenTec employee at this time. We're kind of aspiring, I guess. She's in business development there, and she's been, you know, just a phenomenal colleague, or hopefully, I guess I should say that differently, is that hopefully we've been a great help to her in what she's trying to do, in supporting us in what we're trying to do. Convoluted, but that's okay. So without further ado, I just, you know, really, I just want to introduce the young ladies here, and they're going to take over the presentation. I just wanted to say that, you know, at Africa GreenTec, you know, our mission really is, you know, empowering people using business models based on United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, as we see this as the epitome of, you know, peace through business, is, you know, fulfilling the, you know, creating business models that adhere to these goals. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Natalee, who will share her screen with the presentation and start things off.
Yep. Let me see. Share. Is it on now? Yes. Okay. Cool. Slideshow. Okay. Well, thank you, Bruce, for introducing me. That was really nice, and I appreciate it. So yeah, me and Lucia will do the presentation then. So I'll just get into it then and start talking about the company, and also start with a little short story about one of our clients, Nasu Umar. He is one of our favorite stories, and he is a serial entrepreneur from Mali. He was actually planning on leaving Mali to move to Europe. And when he got to Morocco, he heard about Africa GreenTec coming to his village to bring electricity and basic infrastructure to his village. So instead of moving to Europe, he decided to return back to his village. And then this eventually allowed him to open up 2 restaurants, a chicken farm, and a construction company, where he now employs about 20 people from his village. And he says that if someone were to offer him to move to Paris today, he would just refuse, because he has everything that he needs in his village to ultimately support himself, his family, as well as his community in a sustainable manner. And that's just stories like that is what inspires us to do our work. And there are more people in that situation as Nasu Umar was in, with about 600 million people having no access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. And ultimately, that means there's not an access for clean water, fruit and vegetable harvest eventually goes to waste. And also people don't have access to basic communication, such as wireless internet, for instance. That eventually will restrain the people in the region significantly from being able to realize sub-Saharan Africa's full potential. And that also pushes them to migrate to Europe, for instance, like Nasu Umar was about to, but with AGT's solutions, he was inspired to stay and yeah, open up his own businesses and really contribute to his community. And then Lucia is going to take over on this slide and the next slide.
Yes, thank you for that, Natalie. Hello, everyone. Yeah, today we are here talking about the impact of inclusive development and peace, and that has been at the core also of our work, especially in Sahel region, where we started off, because these are the countries that are affected mostly by climate change, but also the politics is quite not stable. So looking at, there is really a correlation between Human Development Index, and we just want to show you how electricity has an impact on development and also on peace. For instance, we work in countries that falls quite low on Human Development Index, and these are quite the lowest in Niger, which is the least developed country, where it falls under 189 out of 189. We also work in Chad, Mali, Senegal, and Madagascar. And while compared to Germany, for instance, that falls under 9 out of 189 index. So yeah, for us, we really target these countries to bring basic infrastructures and also electricity. So Natalie, perhaps the next slide, please.
Yep.
Yeah, so for us, what does this mean? It means that there is a huge correlation between electricity and the Human Development Index. So looking at the electricity access in, especially the rural electricity access in these countries, Chad is really just only 2% of people have access to electricity, while Niger is about 13.4%. And also to put it in numbers, there's about 18 million people that don't have access to electricity, while in Madagascar we have 10.59%, Mali 16.5%, and Senegal 47.4%, which is quite relatively higher compared to other countries. But also looking at the so for us, actually also looking at access to electricity, we see it is the heart of human development, and it increases the productivity by accelerating social improvement, which means it will not be possible to achieve sustainable social economic development goals without ensuring and maybe accessing clean, reliable, and affordable energy, which really affects the communities that are needed and for us to bring peace. And that because if we increase the electricity, it means that we will also increase development. For just to give an example, these countries actually, the kilowatt hour per capita per year falls under really 1,000, while Germany, it has more than 6,000 kilowatts per capita, meaning that if we give these areas with electricity, then we can see the productivity, it really increases, we can create jobs and electricity. This next slide, Natalie.
Yep, I'll take over from here then. So Africa GreenTech, that's kind of why we came to be. We were working to bring green and sustainable energies to sub-Saharan Africa in order to empower the people of the global south to achieve more self-determination as well as economic growth. We were founded by Torsten and Ida Schreiber. Ida is actually from Mali, and that's kind of what inspired us to start our mission in Mali. The couple was invited by the Malian president to look at their current, or I guess older energy supply back in 2014. And what they saw was a 20 megawatt diesel power plant. And that is what inspired them to start developing a mobile solar power plant, which is now called the Solar Tainer. And that's when they started to grow the team really steadily and started the company Africa GreenTech. We believe that we have the responsibility for a better future and that each individual can contribute to a better living condition for themselves and also for us to begin using resources more sustainably. Since the start, we are currently operating in about 5 countries, but as you can see with all the green countries, that's our future potential target market. So there's a large target market that we can access in the future. And then this is all really centered around the impact site, which is our holistic approach. It's a modular system for sustainable power generation and intelligent distribution and efficient use of electricity in rural sub-Saharan Africa. The impact site was designed to combine all of these components together, like electricity production, cooling, water treatment, and internet access, which allows for the productive use of electricity applications. The core of this is the solar container, which I mentioned briefly before. That was the kind of the start of the company. And that is a electricity that can be used for with a mini grid and a smart meter, and it can be set up in about 24 hours or even less, depending on the, I guess, human power behind it. But basically that allows for people to use electricity even during the night. It increases safety and it improves learning conditions for the people of the village. This can contain a Wi-Fi system that allows the community to connect to internet. Additionally, it could be upgraded with a water purification system to allow for safe drinking water in the community if that's necessary. Also, another aspect of this is the cool container, which is our cold storage room that is really used for farmers to store food in to thus save food from going bad. Additionally, our sister company, the Solar Bakery, was recently added to the impact site, which makes fresh bread every day using Africa GreenTech solar power. Okay, and then with the SDGs then, we actually impact about 11 of the SDGs, and electricity is the main driver for our model. This electricity means that people have the opportunities for to create businesses, as well as allowing farmers to be more productive. And this also allows for people to have a better perspective and eventually impacts the future generation as well. Access to energy gives people the chance to make a difference in their communities and support a brighter future. Through our research with our partners, we were able to understand our impact better on the 11th of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And with that, we are not looking merely just at simple outputs. We are also looking across several different dimensions and considering meaningful outcomes that align with dependable institutions. And then Lucia, you will take over from here.
Yes, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so for Africa GreenTech, we have we developed this holistic approach to rural development. As Natalee just said, that access to electricity is quite needed, and especially in these rural areas where basic infrastructures of clean water is not there. They don't have access to cooling, to store their post-harvest. So these are really the communities that Africa GreenTech really targets. And beside this, we try to actually really reach the communities that need it, the groups in the communities that really needs it. And by this, we are talking women that have to walk long distances to collect firewood to make food for the family, where they have to walk long distances to collect water so that they can provide something for the family. And we are also reaching out to children that to enable them to have a safer life so that they can be able to study, and also communities that are affected to climate change, that who are actually on the move, and they not only migrating to come to Europe for a better life, but sometimes they have to migrate within the country to search for for better land where they can grow their crops due to climate change. And these are the groups of people within the communities or states who are considered to be disadvantaged to factors out of their control, and therefore they do not have the same socio-economic opportunities in societies that you and I perhaps also have. Next slide, Natalie. Yeah, but what does this actually mean on a day-to-day life? So for African continent with 54 countries, it's actually seen as a world leader when it comes to women entrepreneurs, because looking at the population, and this was a study that was done by the World Bank report, it found out that 58% of the continent's women, they are actually self-employed people. And this means that there is an opportunity to really empower women to become entrepreneurs, to become their own breadwinner, and to really get something to generate income for their family and for themselves. And so next slide. Yeah, so for Africa GreenTech, that's what we also do. We try to, in rural areas, to train the women with skills that they can use to come up with their own businesses, to also be able so that they can go to the banks. Because one of the other thing is that even though 54% or 58% of the continents women are self-employed, it also shows that women continue to earn less profit than men. And there is also this thing that when they go to the bank, they are more inclined to be declined, not to get loans. So we try to teach them all these skills so that we can also connect them to the banks that they can get loans. And we also work with different institutions, for instance, Plan International, where they can get the skills or be taught skills to come up with their own businesses in agriculture or in other aspects where they're interested. Next slide. And so currently we actually have 2 projects now that we are working on, and this is actually one of our foundation that is doing that. So we are doing this in the Gambia and Mauritania, where we have the container that Natalee was talking about, where they can actually store cold storage solution for like women associations in fish. And there we give them an opportunity really as like a community where they can combine and be able to store their fish in the container. And with this, we also try to teach them how they can preserve, or how they can also come up with different business model to diversify their income generation. And so these are two of our some of the programs that we are doing with women. But other programs we are also doing in Niger with Plan International to really teach more than 10,000 women with skills that they need in rural communities to start their own businesses. Next slide. So yeah, the next slide is just, this is the sister company program, not really program, but the solar bakery, because the solar bakery is actually per day, they bake more than 3,000 breads. That means women, they can come and also buy like a whole packet of bread, and then they can go and sell it in villages. And this is something that we also see that, okay, women coming back to us or signing up to to sell because they really see that, okay, by doing this, they can actually earn money and be able to make a living out of it and be able to afford something for their families. Next slide. Yeah, so in a nutshell, yeah, Africa GreenTech, and I'm sure also other companies out there, we are really trying to reach these communities to bring or to enable economic development to these areas, and also to bring peace. As I say, that we work in Sahel region where some of these communities, they don't have basic infrastructures. And these are just some of the comments or the testimonies from some of our customers. For instance, Diallo, who is the kiosk owner, after we brought electricity and also cooling services to her, she said that she has seen that there's more food now. She doesn't have to throw them away. And she has seen that there is an increase of customers because her shop is like a meeting point in the village and her income has multiplied. On the other side, we have Modibo, who is a welder. In the past, his diesel generator used to fail quite badly, but now with access to electricity, he has a lot of orders now. And ever since there is a boost, and he has hired young people and now employ 20 people in total. And by bringing electricity, it's just bringing, like from the outside, it's just bringing a light there, but in the long term, it really provides this long impact in the communities. It brings development. It also brings peace and reason for people to stay in the communities. Yeah, next slide, which is, yeah, that's it from our side. Yeah, that's it about Africa GreenTech. If you have any question, yeah, and we are very happy again to be here with you.
Yeah, I guess I would like to add maybe just a couple of notes to that. I think that it's really important to understand this. This started off in Germany, and very contrary to most international business paradigms, what they have done is they've taken that production and they've moved it to Senegal. In other words, they've taken the higher level value production and actually put it back in the country that needs the development, as opposed to what the normal traditional way is to leave the higher value production outside, and you just use it's the commodities and the raw materials that you're taking out of the countries. Additionally, I think that it's important to understand that there are a myriad of additional services that can be attached onto the solar container here. I think for me, one of the really most interesting ones, because most of these are very, very remote locations that you can't get to readily. They actually have a drone service and internet. If something goes wrong, for instance, one can actually have medications brought in by drone, which is, I mean, again, for me, a phenomenal capacity that these people just never ever had that kind of accessibility to the internet or to such medical services before. It was just too far away, and people would either suffer or die before they could get any help. And I think these are probably some really key aspects that I just wanted to add in at the end. We did gear this more towards the female empowerment part, but there's a lot more to all of this than just what we're showing today. So with that, I would also say, if you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to field them the best we can.
Yeah, and also if folks just have comments or they have experience working on a similar topic, feel free to jump in. I have just one question about the financing. I'm particularly curious for low-income households and communities, whether or not Africa GreenTech has partnered with any IFIs or with any regional multilateral organizations. I'm particularly thinking of ECOWAS, and ECOWAS has a new fund that they launched a year ago. They started out with a pilot project in the Gambia, The fund is called the Fund for Regional Stabilization and Development, but they're particularly interested in financing female entrepreneurs, women-led businesses, and they're in a thematic area. They're particularly interested in renewable energy sources. So that would be one kind of question. And then I guess the other question, having or considering that Africa GreenTech is a German registered company, has the new German legislation that focuses on environmental and human rights due diligence come up at all? It's due to come into effect January of 2023, and I would just be curious to know whether or not that's been a topic of concern in terms of the company's internal operations and who they're working with in the supply and value chain, because that could have a ramification on Africa GreenTech come down the line.
Lucia, would you like to start us off on that?
Yeah, I will comment. Starting off with regional organizations. Yeah, thank you for that again, Christina. That's a very nice question. Good question. Yeah, so for us, we have started conversations with ECOWAS, with actually ECRE, which is their regional renewable agency, but we are doing that with Plan International, and yeah, the idea is to partner on the project for 10,000 women in Niger. Yeah, but the conversations still, they are ongoing, to be honest. And yeah, recently, I think this week, I came across the new fund that they have for women entrepreneurs. Now, I'm not sure if that is ECOWAS or was it AFT. It was one of them, but I sent it to one of my colleague in the one that is handling the project in Gambia. Because we really want to partner with this kind of organizations, especially on these women empowerment programs. But in general, with financing is one of the challenges that we also experience, especially since we work in remote areas. So we need to sometimes yeah, of course, we have different investors that we reach out. We have private investors that come in with equity and debt. But one of the challenges that we experience is actually finding grants, which is we use it for the grid. Sometimes the governments, they don't have access to they don't have money to build the grid. So we usually have to work together to reach out to organizations or DFIs that can come in with grant to support it. But in a nutshell, Africa GreenTech also runs their own in-house crowdfunding where we try to source funding for this kind of projects. Yeah, and we are now busy with our Series B. With the next question, I have to say, no, I didn't, or maybe I'm not aware of it from how Africa GreenTech will handle that. Yeah, but I'm sure it's something that, yeah, it will come up for us to also address that on how it will affect Africa GreenTech, for instance. But as Bruce said, we are also now moving the headquarters to Senegal, and yeah, so everything will be done now like from Africa for Africans, not from Germany as we used to do in the past. Yeah.
If I could just add one little piece to that, I think that, you know, just the idea, everything that we do is based on partnering. I mean, we can't just go to one of these countries and take our solartainers in. We actually have to partner with, you know, local utilities, governments. I mean, so thank you for mentioning ECHO, I believe it was, right?
ECOWAS, yeah.
And so we're always looking for more partners because the more partners we can have, the more viable we will look, especially when, you know, we are looking for international grants to also help us along. I mean, it's social impact investing, but there's also a foundation for Africa GreenTech. So there, you know, it works both sides. I mean, so, you know, they do take donations and kind of, they don't perform charity. Even with the donations, they're still building a business model because people need to understand the integrity of having, you know, meaningful work in their lives. But we, you know, so we do the social impact investing regardless of whether it's, you know, an investment vehicle or it's coming from charity. And I think, again, you know, really just partnering is, you know, the absolute most critical piece in being able to be successful at all.
I think we have Renehan and Niels who have questions, comments. Maybe we could bring them in. Gentlemen, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Nils Olson calling in. Actually, Christina, I got your email a couple hours ago. I'm glad I could jump in. So I knew very little, but pretty interesting to hear the conversation. In case my outfit doesn't give it away, I have a question about security, especially given that you're operating in a pretty unstable part of the world. So especially in places like Mali and Niger, how do security concerns factor into you know, the whole business model in general, but maybe if you have some particular anecdotes on how you can guarantee that things don't either become captured or lost or stolen, I think that'd be pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that's the question that we always receive from our investors. Yeah, so I will just give an example of how we did it in Mali. And I would give it into perspective, like investment security, because that's something that our investors usually also are always concerned. So for Mali and also for other countries where we go into, we try to have investment, I forgot how it's called, but between Germany and Mali, there's this an agreement of investment security that has been signed, and that's what also has really protected Africa GreenTech. If anything happens in Mali, the investment is protected. We can get it back. But in terms of on-ground security, I have to say, and thankfully, nothing has happened yet, but of course we can't rely on the yet. So, but what we do is, as you have seen, our solutions are containerized, and of course, this security challenge also has been put into consideration, that it's either easy to, if war is coming to that area, we can move it within 12 hours. We dismantle it and move it to somewhere else within 12 hours and set it somewhere else. But also we really try to work with the locals, and also we work with community leaders that knows really the situation, and they can talk to people. And yeah, what else did I forget? Yeah, so we just really try also to protect ourselves. Also, when people go to these areas, of course, they go through the training on how they can protect themselves. And yeah, so far, that's what we have been doing so far. And Bruce, would you like to add anything on that?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, I think if you look at any of the photos of the installations, I mean, they usually are, you know, kind of semi-sealed off from you know, people just walking around. Security is always it's a big issue. So, I mean, that is clearly something we spend a lot of attention on. But, you know, guarantee is kind of a harsh word. I'm not sure. You know, guaranteed in the sense of when we have such an agreement as we have with Mali, then, you know, basically it's guaranteed through the agreement. But other than that, you can't, you know, guarantee locally what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes, like in Chad, I mean, there's been, you know, we went into Chad and they had somewhat of a coup, and we ended up having to basically retract, you know, our resources out of Chad at that time. So, but, you know, the mobility piece is such that we can move back in relatively quickly when the security is no longer, or the lack of security is no longer an issue.
Yeah, and I just also want to add that, yeah, of course, working in these countries is very hard, and we have, of course, experienced it. For instance, Mali this year was going through the embargo, where the borders were just closed for, I think, more than 5 months, and that means we couldn't move in anything, and our project was delayed, and that's one of the challenges that we also face. But of course, through these challenges, we are also learning on how we can adapt our business models, and that means we have to leverage it with safer markets, and that's why we are going, for instance, to Kenya, to Uganda, and other markets. So, meaning that we don't want to abandon these really areas that needs our technologies, but we try also to survive by leveraging it with safer markets. Okay, I think Jill.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Sorry about my cam. My connection is not so good. I'm from Brazil. I work with business and human rights and development agenda. Christina, thank you again for this opportunity. It's amazing what you brought to us in terms of integral solution, holistic solution. I must, I'm grateful to hear all of this. What Commander Olsen said was really important in terms of security. You answered my question too. It's one of the questions, but I especially want to ask about the energy solution, because it was really amazing to keep the food in good quality, not only for usage but to sell in a by an association, a community corporation to put this on market. How was the challenge behind all of these efforts to build this kind of solution? This is really amazing. And I'm asking because I want to really understand more, maybe collaborate in the future, but we have space to make pilots here in Brazil too, with fishing communities. And well, I'm here to collaborate and learn from you. Thank you, Christine, again, and all the team, Bruce, Natalie, and Lucia. Congratulations for all you do.
Yeah, thank you, Gil, and I hope I said your name correctly. Yeah, thank you for that question. And of course, Africa GreenTech is always open to collaborate with people and different companies all over the world, not just in African communities, but we will be also happy to collaborate in Brazil. Yeah, so you asked about the challenges. I think, yeah, I mean, there are a couple of challenges that we have experienced, of course, since we also work in different areas. I have to say the first challenge, of course, going into areas where, and trying to change also the, what is it, social behavior, because people, they are used not to have their different ways of preserving the food. So one challenge is like really teaching them and convincing them to use a new technology is one of the challenges, because then it takes really time, and it also comes because when you go into the community, then only maybe a few people are willing to try it out, but over the time you have to give it time. You have to really explain to people on how this new technology, for instance, would benefit them. They have to see the result long term, and then if you explain it over the time, then people slowly and slowly they will accept it and try to use the technology. I have to say another challenge for us, because of course, we work in Senegal, for instance, is basically a desert and it's quite really hot. So the first time when we put up the container, it was quite really hot for the technology. And through this, we have also saying that, okay, we have to adapt it to really fit to the local what is it, weather or temperature, because that means that if it has to work in Madagascar, it doesn't mean that it has to work the same way in Senegal, because it's just a desert and it's quite really hot. So adaptability of the technology in different settings is also one of the challenges that we experience. Of course, transportation is also one of them, because I'm just talking about challenges that we have also experienced in areas where we work. So since there's no roads or quite good roads, it was really a challenge. We have some photos of the team trying to take these containers to rural remote areas, and the truck is just really stuck in the sand. So yeah, basic infrastructures to take them to remote areas is also some of the challenges that we have experienced. But yeah, when we bring it to the area, and I don't know if Natalee said it, because we try to teach, or at least at every container, to employ 2 women at least. So it is something that we also try to include women in our solutions, so that they can really yeah, be involved, and also to give back to the communities. Yeah,
That's really wonderful. Thank you very much.
yeah.
And
but
well, please tell me. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll be happy to also explain it more to you in a separate call after this.
Yeah. Thank
I'll
you
put,
so much.
Yeah, we'll put my email address here.
Thank you very much,
chat.
and congratulations again. Great work, really nice.
We have Matthew, would you like to jump in?
Yes, thank you. My name is Matthew, and it's really exciting, sorry, to see what's happening, and just to follow up with your projects. I actually come from a very rural area in Kenya, and it's really drought. It's really dry now, although currently I'm in South Africa, but it's really dry and all of that. So I just wanted to find out something. I heard you speaking about giving skills to women on particular projects, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to know, do you give them general skills of businesses, or is it skills pertaining to the projects that you are undertaking? I'm not sure whether you understand my question. Oh, sorry, my camera is this side. Yeah. I'm not. Do you understand my question?
I think I understand. Yeah, I think I understand. If I think your question is if the skills that we train women is or related to our projects, or if it has to do to start with their own businesses, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So with the skills that I have to say both. It depends. So the skills, and also that's why we partner with organizations such as Plan International. It's really to give skills to women to start their own business. And in a nutshell, so this business can be into agricultural, or it can be I don't know, a hairdresser, anything that they want. It just really to how to start a business, how to go to different loans, how you can save your money, how you can scale up your business model. And our partners that we work with, such as Plan International, they are quite really good at this. And in a nutshell, so in the end, once these women gain skills, that means they can start their own business, and they can still use electricity, or our electricity that we bring to communities. So that's one part. But the other part, for instance, at the container where we employ 2 women, or at our solar bakery where we get women in the communities to come and sell the bread in rural communities. There, then we teach them related to that specific project. Or if it's container, then we teach them on how they can handle the customers, on where to place the baskets, or what they need to put in and not allowed to put in, this kind of skills. So we really work with different types, and it's really depending on the project or the skills that the women also need.
Okay, thanks. Then another thing, are these projects sustainable? Do they self-sustain themselves, or do they require funding throughout? Once you initiate the project, are they able to run on their own and generate funds so that they can be sustainable, self-sustainable? Especially the ones that you are providing, like the freezers and all that, and the solar. Yeah.
I assume that you're asking about our business model and our projects. Yes. So for us, and that's also really differentiate us from, let's say, our competitors. We work in areas which are remote and off-grid communities, and having mini grid usually, and only selling electricity alone is not sustainable. And that's, I think, a common knowledge. But the thing is, with electricity alone, one of our main drivers for our revenues is the SMEs. So our system, they're quite big. It's about a 50 kilowatt peak. So that means welders and all the SMEs in the communities can be able to use our electricity, and we have different values, tariffs on what we charge the customers. So we charge the customers from just basic household to really big SMEs. And also within this, we have a diverse business model where we also sell internet packages. We sell the cooling, like spaces. We sell all these solar pumps. We have really a diverse business model, and for us, it's of course great for the community, but at the same time, it's also in the long run, profitable, maybe profitable, but sustainable for us, and also really to be attractive to our investors that we approach.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we can maybe just ask if the 3 of you maybe have any final points you'd like to share. Bruce, Natalee, Lucia, and then we can go ahead and wrap up the call for today.
Well, I think we covered excellent questions. Sustainability, of course, is the from the I guess the environmental aspect, but also the sustainability in terms of being able to pay for these things over time. Because again, we're not doing charity. Is central to everything that we do, and the cultural aspects and the training aspects are huge hurdles, as they have been in many other countries before, which there's many examples. So those are huge challenges, and they continue to be, and they will continue to be moving into the future. I don't think I have anything else really that I would comment on, other than I think also that this is a great, just a great project that we're trying to also now bring to the United States in terms of how we can start funding a lot of this stuff. So with that, unless Natalee or Lucia have anything to add, then we'd be good.
I also just want to say thank you again, Christina and the whole team, for bringing us on this platform to talk. As I said, we are very grateful, but also for Africa GreenTech, we are always open to work with different people, to work with different partners, to scale up our business models to really communities that are needed. And if you have feedback or questions or want to work with us, please feel free to reach out to us. And again, thank you very much. We really appreciate to be here today.
Natalie, did you want to share anything?
No, I was
to
kind
make
of
sure I give
going
you
to
the
say
floor.
something. I was just going to say something along the lines of Lucia, but yeah, thank you again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot, and it was, yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for presenting, for sharing your reflections, for sharing an insight to a very good, sounds like very positive social impact investing startup. I just shared the links to our next upcoming webinars. We have a webinar in a few weeks' time that's going to look at whether or not an 11th or an additional principle should be added to the Global Compact principles that specifically focuses on peace. And then in December, we're going to have a Ukrainian colleague who is going to present her work on the gender consequences of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and specifically look at the economic consequences as it relates to gender. There's a pretty, let's say, provocative title. That kind of begs the question whether or not there will be space for women in the economy in the post-war recovery phase. And then there's another conference that York University is organizing this Friday, where many of us from the working group are going to be presenting our respective research areas. So feel free to join that one. And of course, as always, if you have any ideas or of projects, of research, of civil society organizations, of other stakeholders that are interested and engaged in this business for peace space, please share it with us. We're always open to new ideas for webinars. We've had many speakers in the past that were kind of fishing out or hashing out their research topics. And we feel like this group is usually a very welcoming and supportive group. So please don't feel like you need to have something that's set in stone in order to approach us to present. But otherwise, we hope you have a great rest of the week. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you.